Tim, can you prep the discomfort alarm?
Oh dear, is Harry Enfield going on the Today programme again?
No, it's not that bad. Link to that in the description. We're going to be talking about a piece by American composer and super polymath Julius Eastman, with a title deliberately designed to make us squirm a bit. Today we're going to be analysing Julius Eastman's piece, Evil N-Word.
And presumably that's what you need the alarm for.
Absolutely. It's a pre-minimalist piece for two pianos that lasts around 15 to 20 minutes. A brilliant piece by a composer who refused to play by the rules.
Was he a cheat?
No. Eastman was a self-saboteur, if anything. He wrote titles like Evil N-Word or Gay Gorilla or If You're So Smart, Why Aren't You Rich? Titles that, as a homosexual African-American, he felt he could use, but that deliberately make the classical establishment a bit uncomfortable. They expose a wound.
I guess the danger there is that highlighting a fracture can mean being cast aside by those unwilling to acknowledge it.
For sure, and his career probably suffered for just that reason. It's been suggested by Eastman's friends and excellent musicologist Mary Jane Leach that through his music, Eastman was trying to heal those fractures, those societal wounds. Here's what Evil N-Word sounds like. Forgive me for leaping across the biographical musical chasm, but that piece, which sounds to me like Roadrunner sprinting on your temples, feels representative of how Eastman lived his life. It creates a perpetual sense of now.
It's definitely teeming with urgency, isn't it?
Yeah, and today I want to show you how I think that urgency, that being in the moment, that now, is created, why it reflects Eastman, the creator, and why it might be important to think about now. I'm about to use the title again, so perhaps we could prep the alarm. Evil N makes me focus on the moment when I listen to it, as it's such an unpredictable piece. The audience can't know exactly what's coming next, and neither can the performers.
Huh?
The piece is only partially notated, you see, with little figures given as interruptions of the repeated notes, and some labelled as semi-optional. It gives the pair of performers room to improvise.
And we think of this as a room to improvise in? Ooh. Oh yeah, that is nice. So with partial notation, are there any bars?
Nope, no bars at all. The piece is instead run on timers.
Take me through timers.
Literally a stopwatch, with sections dictated by when that watch hits certain moments.
So we've got interruptions, improvisations, and no bar structures. What's going on with the harmony?
Well, the harmonic landmarks are also constantly shifting, changing the context of the familiar repeated notes. Listen to it here. Anytime we've got comfortable with the diddlum diddlum figure, a new chord will arrive around it and make us consider it anew. The final thing that brings us into the now are those repeated notes pummeling you in the front of the face, and then the recurring continuo figure, which pops up throughout just to shepherd any wandering minds.
So that's Roadrunner on the temples, that bit then.
Yeah.
How does this relentless nowness evoke Julius Eastman, the man?
Well, he lived life deontologically.
I do love it when you speak Greek. What is deontology?
Parakalo. Deontology is basically considering actions only in the moment, as ends in themselves. He acted on what he believed was right in the abstract, not thinking about the consequences.
So that must have got him into some trouble then.
Absolutely. When he was appearing as the bass soloist in the Christmas Oratorio at a pretty big-time performance at Cornell University, he didn't do what I would do, which is obsess over the possible consequences of doing this performance well or badly. No, he decided to start improvising a fresh aria over the orchestral accompaniment that, according to his friend the composer David Bowden, sounded like a Bobby McFerrin extended vocal technique demo.
And presumably this wasn't the plan.
It took everyone, the fellow performers, conductor, and audience, by surprise. The rest of the performance was just a normal Christmas oratorio.
I can see how that might have some negative consequences for his career then.
It did, but he felt it was the right thing to do, creatively, truthfully, in that moment. He was free from obligation to any of history's totems.
Why is this relentless nowness, this deontology, relevant now, today?
Well, I reckon this is a radical moment we're in, as our normal understanding of consequences, cause and effect doesn't really apply.
Yeah, I mean, normally I don't have to scrub myself head to toe just to pop out to the co-op.
Exactly. This is the moment to rethink. And if you're rethinking, free of consequences, you have to consider what your principles are. What do you believe is right now, right in and of itself, if the consequences are uncertain?
And consequences are usually the excuse for not doing things that seem obviously right.
Yeah. In these unprecedented times, we can all act a bit more like Julius Eastman and consider what is right or wrong deontologically, because we're freed of having to worry about the consequences for ticket sales or audience share. We can expose and consider the wounds in society and in music, just as Eastman did. In principle, is it right that we don't have better representation and diversity in classical music? Is it right that Classic FM only played 2 black composers in a fortnight? Is it right that such a small number of women are amongst our busiest conductors, or that trans performers are facing barriers imposed by others? If these unjust situations are ever going to change, it will be because we act with the urgency, the radical nowness of composers like Julius Eastman. Composer Fact File, Julius Eastman.
Born October 1930, New York.
He didn't start the piano until he was 14, but went on to study at the Curtis Institute in Philadelphia.
As well as a pianist, he was a singer celebrated for his resonant baritone.
He recorded Peter Maxwell Davis's 8 Songs for a Mad King and performed the piece with Pierre Boulez at Lincoln Center.
He was a member of the Buffalo-based composer collective, the Creative Associates.
He left Buffalo for New York after a controversial performance of John Cage's songbook, which included nudity and homoerotic allusion.
Once in New York, he became the first male vocalist in Meredith Monk's vocal ensemble.
Compositions from this era featured controversial titles such as Evil N-Word, Crazy N-Word, and Gay Gorilla. The last of these reimagines Martin Luther's hymn, A Mighty Fortress is Our God, as a gay manifesto.
Many of his scores were impounded by the New York City Sheriff's Office following an eviction.
He spent much of this time homeless.
He died of a heart attack, aged 49, alone in a Buffalo hospital. No public notice was given of his death until 8 months later.
He once said,
"What I'm trying to achieve is to be what I am to the fullest. Black to the fullest, a musician to the fullest, a homosexual to the fullest."